Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have an ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild. We have an ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild West, which is was a Chatterley Luxuries exclusive. We have an ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Verde. We have a Mr. Cypress. This is a Urushi Maki-e, and this is the Maple in the Woods. We have a Mr. Cypress, and again, this is a Urushi Maki-e Raden, and this is a Kawi Nuri, and this is the Deep Light 1. We have another Mr. Cypress, and this is another Urushi Maki-e Raden, and this is a Kawi Nuri, and this is a Deep Light 3. We have a Mr. Cypress Eggshell 01, a Mr. Cypress Eggshell 05A, and a Mr. Cypress Eggshell 06. And then we have a Danny Trio Moonlit Grass. So you can see here there's a few variances in terms of the length of the pen and also in terms of the girth of the pen as well. But let's take a look in a little bit more detail. We've got the first one, which is an ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild, sometimes referred to as the Wild Side. This is a larger pen made by ASC. It is a pneumatic filling pen, so you unscrew what is the what would be like a piston knob, but you pull it out, and you've got this metal sheath here. And the idea is that that creates a suction. So you put your finger over the hole and you push it down. I'm not going to do it with my finger over because it's going to eject ink into the cap. But that, when you let your finger off, will then, it basically, when you push it down, it decompresses the sac. And when you let your finger off, it actually expands the sac and it will suck in ink from your ink bottle. Now, this is a number 8 size nib here. The Magic Flex nib. These are only come in one nib size typically, which is medium. Unless you went for the 3 Kings set, in which case you got various grinds from Mark Bacchus, the nib grinder. Can you post a cap on this? You can, but it won't post deeply or securely, and it is way too long. These are numbered editions. They're not limited editions, so these are made in a number, and they just kept making them until they either ran out of the material or they decided enough was enough, and then they would maybe make a different pen in that same material. But that is an Omas celluloid. This one isn't a celluloid. I think it's more of a resin. I almost might say it's a cellulose acetate, but I think it's a resin from what I recall. But this is the ASC Bologna Extra, and it's in the Wild West. You'll see that here on the cap band. It says Wild West, and then you have this Wild West theme there on the cap band. It was a Chatterley Luxuries exclusive, and again, you've got a band here on the section. You can see, and then a number 6 size ASC Bologna Extra nib. Again, a pneumatic filling mechanism, which basically means it has a latex or rubber sac inside the pen. They will perish over time, like the sacs in most vintage pens, but you can get them replaced, typically by anybody that can replace a sac in a pen. They just need to know how to get that sac out, and it's pretty easy on the ASC Bolognas. The next pen inked up I have this week is, again, another ASC Bologna Extra, but it's in the Arco Verde. And this is just a stunning celluloid. Again, it's an Omas celluloid, but this just is striking. I have Arco Verde, I have Arco Brown in my collection. I typically prefer the Arco Brown, but I also love to see the Arco Verde. The nib again is a number 8 size Magic Flex nib with an ebonite feed. Again, pneumatic filling mechanism as well. You can again post the cap, but it won't post deeply or securely. But it really is too much of a wand like that to write with. But it's a good size pen. It's a way oversized pen, and I think that with the nib to match, there are 3 threads to ASC Bologna's starting threads, so you've got a 1 in 3 chance of getting it to line up first time, and I got that second time there, so I guess that's not too bad. The next pen inked up is a newer pen from Mr. Cypress. It's a Urushi, it's a Maki-e, and this is called Maple in the Woods. A very beautiful, beautiful pen. I think the artisan for Mr. Cypress has done a really great job here. It's a hugely textured pen. If I rub my fingers over the body there, or the cap, it just, even the black, you feel texture because there is some gold dust there as well. But it's a beautiful pen, and when I saw this, I am a sucker for maple leaves, and it also has a bit of a bronzy gold glittery section as well. And I got this with a number 6 size Mr. Cypress 14 karat gold medium nib. You can't post the cap, it's not designed to do so, but it's a nice pen. A slight step down because it does have a seamless transition between the cap and the body there. But that's just something to bear in mind. Likewise, you're going to see that as a theme across a lot of these, not only Mr. Cypress pens, but also Urushi Maki-e, because they typically, if they're going to Maki-e, if they're going to put Rawdon on it, or abalone shell, they are going to want to have those line up and not have a bit of a step down between the cap and the body. So the next pen here inked up is this one, and it's a Mr. Cypress. It's a Kawi Nuri finish, and again it's a Maki-e Rawdon Urushi. It's got gold dust here. You've got the red with the Rawdon stripes, and then a blue, and the gold and the blue still has some like shimmer, almost like some gold or some particulate there, just to make it stand out, so it's not just a straight red or blue or gold color. So it is quite a beautiful pen. Very glad I was able to pick this one up when I did. Again, a number 6 size Mr. Cypress 14 karat gold nib. I got this at medium. Typically I'm writing more with mediums lately, and I just find they're better for letter writing. Sometimes I'll go to a broad, but typically I would say with most gold nibs I would go for a medium. If it was a still Jowo nib, I'd go for a broad. You can post the caps on this. It won't post deeply, but it will post securely. This is a bit of a shorter pen and a bit of a thinner section pen to what I'm normally used to, but I like the design, and I decided I just needed to buy that one. And I did kind of steal it from a friend who liked the look of this one, Joe Vitolo, but he hadn't bought it in 3 weeks, so I decided, you know what, if he's not buying it, I'm gonna buy it. And there were 4 in each of these available at the time when I looked, and then a week later there was only 1 available in this, and I think 1 or 2 available in this one. So this one is again another Mr. Cypress Kawi Nuri Urushi Maki-e Rawdon, but this is in red and gold, and you can see there again the abalone strips, the stripes, very, very beautiful. It's a cigar shaped pen, again a little bit shorter, a little bit thinner than I'm normally used to, but I got a 14 karat gold number 6 size medium nib from Mr. Cypress there, and it's comfortable to write with. I wouldn't want to go thinner on the section. They are 11mm in diameter sections, so I wouldn't want to go much thinner than that. I think 11 to maybe 12mm are, for me, the sweet spot, although I do have pens like the ASC Bolognas. I've not checked the diameter on those, but I'm guessing they're probably 13mm diameters. So I can go with anything providing it's not too thin. The next pen here is a Mr. Cypress. It's an Eggshell Rawdon. It's termed the Eggshell 01 because there were 6 models, I think by probably the same artisan who made them for Mr. Cypress. And typically it looks as though for most of these they have 4 or 5 initially when they come out in stock. So I think it's probably a limited edition one of 4 or 5, and then once they're sold out normally. Unless maybe the artisan liked making that pen so much that they're going to make more of them for Mr. Cypress, or maybe Mr. Cypress requests them perhaps, I don't know. But this is a beautiful pen. I like the eggshells, I like a lot of the black void here, and then the Rawdon, the abalone stripes in the centre. Very, very beautiful. You've got the eggshells on both ends, and you've got also a number 6 size Mr. Cypress, 14 karat gold, medium nib there. Slight glittery section, not overly glittery. These are all cartridge converters, the Mr. Cypress. They don't do piston, they don't do Paravax. They don't do, at this moment in time of recording this video in 2023, that they don't do that I've seen any other filling mechanisms. I think cartridge converter is perfectly fine. You can't post the cap on here. It's not designed to do so. But a lot of the Mr. Cypresses you can't post the cap. These two you were able to, but the majority of them you cannot. The next one here is a very, very busy pen, and this is the Mr. Cypress Eggshell 05A. There was a 05 and a 05A. Might have even been a B, and it was only differing on where these Rawdon stripes were situated on the pen. I like that this one splits between the cap and the body, so I decided I would get this one. And I like also that it's got one on the cap, one on the body there. These are flat top pens that you can see, and you've got the eggshell there on the cap finial and also on the what would be the blind cap there, or end cap. It has a very glittery section, which I think really makes the pen stand out more. And a number 6 size Mr. Cypress. And this one's a 14 karat gold medium nib. Again, cartridge converter. You can't post the caps, but you really, really don't want to do so on at least I don't think you do on Urushi or Maki-E or Rawdon. I think it would be a shame to post them. Yes, the Urushi lacquer is quite hard once it forms, but like with any material, even metal, you're going to scratch it over time. And I don't think Urushi is typically that hard. That I think Urushi lacquer has a hardness scale of glass from what I recall reading, and glass can scratch. So yes, it might not scratch in general use, but if you're going to post a cap a lot, then it might do. If you took a knife to it, or a chisel, or a screwdriver, I'm sure it's going to scratch and chip. So I would just be careful on posting caps on Urushi or Maki-E or Rawdon pens. The next pen inked up here is another Mr. Cypress Urushi Maki-E Rawdon. It is the Eggshell 06, and I really love the diagonal pattern here. It reminds me of my Tatcha Miyabi Winter's Breath and the Empress Winter's Breath. The pattern goes in the opposite direction though, but it's really, really stunning. So I really do like this. I'm half tempted. You see the eggshells here on the cap and also on the end cap. They are flat tops. I'm very tempted to get another one of this because I really like the pattern on this. But I typically don't normally get 2 of the same pens, and this is a really good reason to. And it has a bit of a sparkly section. It's a number 6 size Mr. Cypress. I got this in an 18 karat gold, not a 14 karat gold, but it is a medium nib. Cartridge converter as well. You can't post the cap, but doesn't bother me. I'm not a cap poster generically, so, or generally, not generically, but yeah, I typically do not post my caps most of the time. And then the last pen here is a lovely Danny Trio, and it's the Moonlit Grass on Takumi. Takumi is the model, has a Urushi clip, painted clip here, very beautiful. And the reason why it's called the Moonlit Grass is you've got the moon shedding moonlight over what is the grass. So aptly named, really. I do like that the clip is Urushi'd, and that is nice. And it does have a bit of a sparkly section there with the Maki artist signature. And then you have a number 6 size Danny Trio Fireball nib. It is a cartridge converter pen. I think Danny Trio started out mostly with eyedroppers and then moved to cartridge converters. I have seen a few people post online showing pictures of the eyedropper versions of the pens leaking and staining the sections. I have one eyedropper, which is the Bamboo Story, but I've never had that leak. But then again, I typically don't leave ink in it for months at a time. So maybe if you left ink in it for months at a time, or if you, some people, I personally will leave my pens like this horizontally, inked or uninked, but some people will leave them nib pointing down to make sure the nib's saturated, or nib pointing up so that you don't get ink dripping into the cap. So it's entirely possible that some of those people may have stored them with the nib facing down, and over time, yes, they will leak. Ultimately, fountain pens are a controlled leak, capillary action, but they will leak if they have a bit of air in the body and the air heats up. So I don't know. I've not had my Danny Trio Bamboo Story leak, but I know I have seen some photos. So typically, the majority of the newer Danny Trios are cartridge converter. I don't know if that's the reason why they changed, but I think cartridge converters are much more easier. I want to say to clean out. They're not actually. I guess actually a eyedropper is more easier to clean out, but I think a lot of people tend not to go towards an eyedropper because of the sheer amount of ink that it will hold. It, in a lot of cases, it's 3, 4, 5 plus milliliters of ink. A lot of ink. So there you have it. That's my 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild. And I think we'll do an ink swatch here. And these are typically quite wet writing nibs. And I do like the colour of this ink. It's actually quite a nice colour. So this is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Sherwood. I'm actually getting a little bit low. I'm going to probably have to ink that one back up again. So this is Sherwood Green, which is quite a nice green coloured ink. I have to say that is quite nice. The next pen inked up is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Wild West. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this really is a beautiful red. It's a red that I like a lot. I have always liked this red. Quite a bright, vibrant red. It's the ASC Bologna Extra. And it's the Wild West. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Poppy Red, which is a beautiful red ink. I could put a blue ink in there, and I have done it in the past. I have just been a little bit more preferring a red ink, I would say. The next pen inked up is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Verde. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Get another green ink, but it's a different shade or hue of green, I would say. It's a mid-green, but with a slight light tinge to it. So this is the ASC Bologna Extra in the Arco Verde, or green. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold Magic Flex nib. And then the ink in here is Akerman Bazuden Wood Grown, or green. But that is a lovely ink, and it really is an ink that I always dedicate to the Arco Verde pens. The next pen inked up is the Mr. Cypress Maple in the Woods. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a much lighter colour, much lighter brown, but quite a nice autumnal colour. So this is a Mr. Cypress, and it is the maple in the woods, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Herbin, or J. Herbin. They did rebrand themselves, and it is Ambre de Bermanie, which is an older ink of theirs, but it's an ink that I do like a lot, and it's a very light brown ink that I think just is a nice autumnal ink. The next pen is a Mr. Cypress Kari Nuri in Deep Light 1. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I would say that the Mr. Cypress nibs are a medium nib. In a lot of cases writes a little bit more like a fine, I would say. So this is Mr. Cypress, and it's Kari Nuri Deep Light 1 in a medium, and it's a 14 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Akerman Binnenhof Blues, which is a very beautiful, almost blurple coloured ink. It's an ink that I like a lot, and I have to say it's a beautiful ink. The next pen is a Mr. Cypress Kari Nuri Deep Light 3. We'll do an ink swatch. And this one, because it has more red in it, I inked up with a red ink. I could put a gold ink in here as well, but I think the red ink goes nice. So this is a Mr. Cypress Kari Nuri Deep Light 3 in a medium, 14 karat gold nib. But I would say that these medium nibs write a little bit more on the finer side of medium. And then the ink in here is KWZ Beef Eater Red. But that is a nice red ink from KWZ. The next pen is a Mr. Cypress, and this is a Mackie Raden, but it's the Eggshell 01. And we'll do an ink swatch here. And you might be fooled that this looks to be the same ink, Akkerman Binnenhof Blues, but it's not. It's a different ink. So this is Mr. Cyprus, and it's the Eggshell 01. It is a medium, and I'd say this is a little bit more towards a medium, Western medium, and it's a 14 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is actually Pilot Iroshizuku Aji Sei, which again is a little bit more of a blurpily coloured ink, and I'd say a little bit more, I wouldn't say a little bit more blurple compared to Akkerman Binnenhof Blues. I think it's a slightly more, maybe lighter colour, but it's very nice coloured ink. The next pen ink tub is the Mr. Cyprus Eggshell 05A. And we'll do an ink swatch here. And I wasn't sure when I got this what colour to ink it up with. It does have purple in it quite a bit, but there's also some green marden as well, so I thought I would go with a green colour. So this is Mr. Cyprus Eggshell 05A. It's a medium and it's a 14 karat gold nib. And the ink in here, I need to just double check this because I'm not 100% sure on this one. Yeah, I know now. That's jogged my memory. It's Wora and Klinger Verdura. But that is a nice green, a mid green, similar to, I guess, to Akkerman Bezuiden Woodgrown, I would say, in terms of the shade of the green there. The next pen is a Mr. Cyprus, and it's the Eggshell 06. So we'll do an ink swatch, and I didn't really know what ink to ink this one up when I got it, but I had this somewhat newer ink that I had never inked up before, which was this colour, and I decided let's just put it in the pen. So this is a Mr. Cyprus Eggshell 06 in a medium, and this one is an 18 karat gold nib. I just decided, this was the first Mr. Cyprus I bought. I got an 18 karat gold, and then after that I just swapped to a 14 karat gold. And then the ink in here is Pelikan Edelstein, and it's Appetite, which was the 2022 Ink of the Year from Pelikan. And then the last pen inked up is a Danny Trio, and this is the Moonlit Grass on Takumi. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I need to flush that converter a little bit. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a Danny Trio, and it's the Moonlit Grass. And it is a fine nib, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Poppy Red. But that is a beautiful, beautiful red ink, and I have it also inked up in the ASE Bologna Extra Wild West as well, and you will see a very different colour there. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Wild in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Diamine Sherwood Green. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Wild West in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Diamine Poppy Red. We have an ASC Bologna Extra Arco Verde in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Akerman Bezuidenwood Wood Grown. We have a Mr. Cypress Maple in the Woods in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Herbin Ambre de Bermanie. We have a Mr. Cypress Kawi Nuri Deep Light 1 in a medium 14 karat gold nib, inked up with Akerman Binnenhof Blues. We have a Mr. Cypress Kawi Nuri Deep Light 3 in a medium 14 karat gold nib, inked up with KWZ Beefeater Red. We have a Mr. Cypress Eggshell 01 in a medium 14 karat gold nib, inked up with Pilot Washizuku Aji Sei. We have a Mr. Cypress Eggshell 05A in a medium 14 karat gold nib, inked up with Rohrer and Klinger Verdura. We have a Mr. Cypress Eggshell 06 in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Pelikan Edelstein Appetite. And then we have a Danny Trio Moonlit Grass in a fine 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Diamine Poppy Red. So there you have it. That's my current ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.